All right, before we get started with the episode, I just want to take a quick second to shout out some of our newest patrons. I'm so excited for you guys. Welcome. All right, so in the House of Stone, we have Stephanie Christ, Elbert Guico, and Jared Brown. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Also, I'm making a compilation list of all the patrons and double checking and make sure we're shouting out everybody. So if I missed you, I'm so sorry.
It gets big after a while.
It's exciting. We have 53 members on Patreon. Mm-hmm. Some of them are new. I mean, some of them are on the free tier, like we talked about in our previous episode. But anyway, you guys are awesome. May the kiln gods bless your firings. May the muses whisper in your ears. May you find good deals at your local grocery store. Okay, here's the episode. This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We are your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
This week on The Mud Peddlers, we are doing a post-SacAnime review.
Right, so you and I just had our table at SacAnime, I want to say summer?
Yes, SacAnime Summer. What is time?
What is time? And the next one's going to be SacAnime Winter.
Yeah, in like 4 months, in January.
Right, so if you don't know, essentially SacAnime was a Sacramento anime convention center that was started not very long, but a long time ago. And we held it at the Scottish Masonic Rite Center in Sacramento next to Sac State.
And it was at a hotel before that, right? I thought it went from the hotel to the convention center, but
I think it was hotel, convention center, hotel, and then they were like, it's getting kind of big and we want to hold it in a bigger space. Then they started holding it in the Sacramento Convention Center, and then it got too big again. Right, and so now they hold it twice a year. So we have SacAnime Summer and Winter. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure if that's like why they split it up that way, but yeah, it happens. Technically, it happens 3 times a year, but SacAnime Spring happens in Roseville, but we don't go to that one.
Yeah, I just go to the 2 that happen at the Sacramento Convention Center. And the way it works, if you've been listening to the previous episodes, is that if you're there and you stay there, they just offer you the paperwork to come back the next time.
Yeah, and that's if you're in the vendor hall. So for anyone who's either thinking about selling at an anime convention or a pop culture convention, that's likely set up in a similar way, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going based off of what I've seen from the 3 anime conventions I go to, which is SacAnime, Fanime, and then SakuraCon.
Right.
Fanime is over in San Jose. SakuraCon is, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but that's up in Seattle. So in Artist Alley, and I think we actually talked about this in a previous episode, conventions have it set up, differently. For SacAnime, they've had a number of different things, but a lot of the 2 biggest things is that you're not guaranteed a spot.
You gotta kind of fight to get in.
Yeah, oftentimes there will either be a lottery or a separate application process where you get vetted.
Right.
Once you're a vendor, the table's a lot more expensive, but you get a bigger display space.
And usually guaranteed if you want to come back the next time.
Yeah.
But it is like my table's almost a G.
Yeah, it's like $850, I think, now.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get any extra tickets, it's I think $30 a ticket. And they if you have more folks who are helping you out throughout the weekend.
They do also kind of, and I've learned to kind of get around this. They do kind of nickel and dime you to death too, because if you don't come with your own internet is $80 a day. Mm-hmm. Where we are, anyway. And if you want power is an extra something $100 or something like that. Right? Yeah. So I brought my own generator and my own phone that gives off hotspot internet. So
and I bought a Verizon Wi-Fi hotspot.
Yeah.
It's a little messed up, and I'm sure we could probably detail this on a future episode at some point, but the downside is that so I only use this hotspot thing twice a year when I sell at SacAnime.
Right.
So because of that, my account basically gets deleted.
Yes.
So whenever I go in to buy more data, I don't just get to buy more data. I have to pay for the startup fee again.
Yes.
But overall, it's cheaper than if I had a monthly plan.
It's the same for me. Mm-hmm. So I use Total by Verizon. I don't use Verizon. They are separate. I don't know if they're separate companies, but they're separate sub-companies.
Right.
I can't call Verizon Wireless and be like, hey, can I have my phone number back? They're going to give me a whole new phone and chip and everything.
Right.
I use Total by, anyway. the way it works is that I basically pay them like $55 to $65, and they give me a random phone number for the month, and that's like my burner phone number.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you haven't used our service in like 5 months, so we kind of recycled your phone number back into the pool. So, but we will give you data to the phone with the card that you have, and as long as you have all the numbers and you're good, and you put the card inside something, you get unlimited hotspot, unlimited data, and limited talk and text for like $65 or $55 for the whole month. And that phone gives off hotspot internet, like Wi-Fi. So as long as I have that phone, I can make transactions inside the walls of SacAnime or the convention center, because like AT&T does not penetrate those walls. No, it does not.
No, it does not.
People walking around with no reception in there. I'm like, yeah, you can just Venmo me if you don't have any cash or you don't have card. And they're just like, my phone's not connecting. My brain's like, because you got AT&T in here. Keep in mind, we are not.
Oh, yeah.
We're not.
We're not like simping for these companies.
No, I'm just saying like, I have to carry 2 phones because one of them works in the convention center and gives me internet and the other one doesn't.
Yeah. So overall, how did SacAnime go for you?
It went okay. I almost made about 4. It was all right.
4,000?
Yeah, almost 4. I was just selling teacups the whole time. And my teacups were like $40 max. It wasn't that expensive.
Oh yeah, you told me like as we were setting up.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm lowering my prices. Bye.
We had a very nice conversation for like 20 minutes. And then I was like, all right, Lindsey, I'll see you later. And she's like, bye. And I was like, oh, by the way, I'm lowering my prices. And I just kept walking.
Yeah, I'm like... So I did not take notes for this episode, which I should have, but I didn't.
Don't feel bad. I never take notes.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But so I have a few different things that I want to ask. But so you mentioned bringing teacups.
Well,
so
how much did you make for? I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. Was it over like 5?
Yeah, I actually.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay, so
Good.
I did a lot better this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Than the previous years?
Yeah. Well, than the previous. So last SacAnime, there was a few different things, and listeners who listened to the last episode talking about SacAnime Winter of 2024 will know this. But they had rearranged the layout of the vendor area.
They sure did.
And I got like no foot traffic.
Yeah.
The arrangement was still not great. Like, it was definitely better than last time. Like, there was a much more visible throughway. They opened up the doors on the other side of the convention, so there was a lot more, like, just the foot traffic in general was better.
Yeah.
But in our little alley, like, compared to, like, one row over, it was, like, night and day. Like, it actually felt like, so one of the folks who runs the convention was like, yeah, our numbers surpassed Fanime this year. So that's
really?
Like over 30,000 people.
Yeah.
So, but in our row, it did not feel like that.
Yeah.
So there were a couple things that were different that I think helped. A big thing is that I had a lot of new designs, and I think that I had more of the right designs. Like, I think there were 2 things that really made me kind of shoot myself in the foot at SacAnime Winter. The first was again, just like the beyond my control, the foot traffic in our area was just ass.
The tables were not well planned out last SacAnime, I agree.
Yeah. They were trying to do something different. I can respect it, but it just did not go well. So they listened to people, fortunately, and they made some adjustments. The other thing is that I did not plan my inventory as well last SacAnime. So I had like D&D alignment mugs for days, but I ran out of a lot of the other designs that were popular and like really quickly.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think, the foot traffic was really bad. Like, I think last SacAnime Winter, I think I made like about 7,000. And that's just gross income. That's not accounting for like the table fees and all that. Yeah. But for this SacAnime, I think I made a little over 11,000. Yeah.
Well, there was that one time.
And I made a bunch more. I made a bunch more different designs. One last thing.
You're good.
I had a lot more like one-off pieces.
Yeah.
Like that I priced higher. And I think those few other pieces combined with having a like maybe 5 or 6 new designs, and then like more of the mushroom mugs, more of the necromancer mugs. Like, weirdly enough, I think those few other higher priced items not only brought more people in, but I think helped like catch more various audience members. Like, I just had more fandoms for people.
Yeah, no, agreed.
And my booth setup was different, but I'll get to that later.
That's a problem that I'm kind of coming across too, because like, while I do love Avatar, I either need to change my avatar designs and kind of collect them into one space. Because, like, the avatar cups, the mini ones of the Nation Cups sell really well, but, like, I need to move on. Like, I'm just, like, after you've made so many of them, people like them because of the fandom.
Yeah.
But, like, they're pretty much only set for millennials, and then everything after that, people are like, isn't anime the thing where they get naked on the cartoons?
I mean, not that we have to worry about that at SacAnime,
no,
because
not
it's
at all.
literally an anime convention. But...
Yeah, and then people generally, I'm just like Zoomers, they know Avatar, but they're like, yeah, that's one of the older animes. That
my heart.
That's for the Harry Potter people. This is for the Harry Potter anime lovers, is what that's for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I just need to get into. I think the thing with me personally is that I don't want to get into a fandom that I feel like I'm not truly into. If that makes sense. So like, I don't want to make a One Piece design. I'm not really into One Piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know it would sell. I know, but like, I wanna watch One Piece and then get passion to make an art piece or a cup off for One Piece. But I don't want to. I know it would sell. I just don't. I feel like it's disingenuous, and I always have a problem with that.
Yeah, I struggled with that for a long time as well, like specifically with Zelda, because, I mean, again, even though like I grew up like watching my friends play, I never like played it myself.
Right.
But I eventually, so that is like one of the new designs that I brought to the convention this time, is I actually made like a Zelda design. But the reason I ended up doing that was I talked to like a number of my like friends, and I was like, hey guys, does this feel like some like fake gamer girl shit? And they were like, no, not really. Like, because again, I think so many people were asking for it that eventually, like, I did not sell these and then fake, you know, like playing the game. Like, oh yeah, this such and such game.
I totally play.
Really, Breath of the Wild,
yeah.
It's like, no, like for the people who asked about it, I was like, oh yeah, like I've never played the games, but like so many people started asking for them that I eventually decided to just go ahead and make a few. And surprisingly, they didn't sell as quickly as I thought they would.
Yeah.
But I hear you on that. I mean, especially at an anime convention where so much of the stuff, like there are a lot of, I don't know, maybe like 15-20% of the artists there do completely unique work. Like,
yes.
My neighbor across the way, Emerald Barkley, they make really beautiful watercolored works that are, have a sort of memento mori sort of vibe to them. But they don't do any work of specific fandoms. But at anime conventions, there is this like tension between like there's so many different fandoms to do, and so anyway, so I hear you on that. It's just for wanting me, to be genuine, yeah.
I just want it to be clear. I'm not judging anyone. It's just for me personally. Like, I don't know, if I was like really into shoes, I wouldn't make cups about like hats. I don't know. I don't know. That seems like a weird euphemism, but yeah, and also on a separate note, I think Zelda's kind of ubiquitous with the culture of anime by this point. Like, I think it's meshed into it.
Yeah, so very much.
I don't think it's on the forefront. Like, if I made a Fire Force, which is another anime, if I made like a Fire Force,
that's a good show.
Right? Like cup, I would feel wrong because I'd be like, I don't even watch Fire Force. But with something like, let's say, Pokemon's so meshed into nerd culture that, like, no one's gonna be like, are you a real Pokemon fan? Do you really watch Pokemon? Like, who's challenging Pokemon at this point?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
It's too meshed in with the culture. Like, it's too everybody. It's the same thing with, like, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I wear this orange Dragon Ball hoodie everywhere I go, damn near. No one's like, do you really like Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
Because it's on the forefront of what's new to the point where I haven't been exposed to it yet. Like, nobody's gatekeeping me on that.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's actually a good point. Like, I actually was thinking about making some Helldiver mugs from the video game. Because I had my...
Helldiver's great.
Okay, so here's the thing.
I wish I didn't like it. I love it. I wish I didn't.
I haven't played it, but I had two of the folks in my D&D group played it and were like super into it for a bit.
It's hard.
I've heard.
It's difficult, and it's funny that it's difficult, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of sussy moments on that game.
I believe it. Yeah. I believe it. Yeah, I asked Cody about that. I'm like, should I maybe make some Helldiver mugs? And he was like, I kind of feel like for Helldiver you should play the game. Yeah. And so I do feel like your point about there being some games and some like shows and things that are so integrated into the culture that it's not so niche that it's like, I don't know, for some reason it feels better. Because the interest is more spread out, whereas it's like, if it's a smaller, newer thing and the culture around it is smaller and like more tight knit, then it feels a little trickier.
Well, I think new things in general just haven't solidified into the culture yet. You know what I mean? Like, so like that new apothecary one, that one's only like a year old. I love it, right?
I haven't heard that much about it though.
Right, but it's
I mean, in terms of it like being in the culture.
Right, of course, but it's only like a year old, right? So like it hasn't really, even if it pops off to the point where it solidifies into the culture and it becomes like just in it initially, like Pokemon has, I don't think it's to that point yet. It's still floating in the water.
Yeah.
Of us, right? But like certain things like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And hopefully Digimon, but I know where Digimon stays. I know. Let's be real. I love Digimon, but y'all don't love Digimon. That's stuff that's kind of solidified. It's like part of this homogenous thing that is nerd culture.
Yeah.
It's actually weird if someone is within nerd culture who doesn't doesn't really connect with Pokemon, than it is someone who's like, I watch anime. Have you watched the Apothecary one? No. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's kind of normal because it's too new. It hasn't really meshed itself in with stuff yet. But, like, Pokemon's, like, it's not weird. It's definitely just like, oh, you hate Pokemon, but you love anime? That's not weird, but that's uncommon.
Yeah. I feel like that could be a whole ass other conversation in and of itself, talking about, like, what the expectations are about, like, oh, if you're in nerd culture, because I think weirdly enough, there can be a lot of, like, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
About like what you have or haven't watched, what you have or haven't played.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation we could go into at another point. But bringing it back to our particular experiences at SacAnime, you talked about, okay, so you said you were mostly selling teacups.
Yeah.
Did you mostly make teacups? Like, what was the composition of what you brought?
So for those of you who've been following my work, you'll know for like almost a year now. I've been saying 6 months, but I really like sat down one day and kind of like looked at it. It's been almost a year. Have been trying to make a Cone 6 deep iron saturated khaki red that imitates ancient copper, and I did succeed. And now that I know what family it belongs in and things of that nature, I now know how to make that glaze in different variations. So I have like 7 by this point, right? But my year of quote-unquote research has been spent doing that. Yeah. And of course I needed testers. So the only thing that I actually made for SacAnime the table were just teacups. Like, I sold nothing but little $40 teacups.
Because you didn't make... Like, did you make mugs or other things?
I made, like, 7 mugs.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't make new designs. I didn't play with any new clay. I barely brought any of the new glaze that I made. Like...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
I basically only sold teacups. And by the way, Lindsey has higher prices than mine, and she also has more table space. I share a table, and I have lower table space too.
Yeah, that's another good thing for folks who are potentially newer to the podcast. That you share your display space with Teacozy, which is a local tea company.
I love.
They're awesome. Much. They also have an online store, so if you need loose leaf tea in your life, check them out. I'll drop their info in the show notes.
I love the crap out of Teacozy because they have like someone from the store come with me to the table because we're sharing a table, and she's much more personable than I am. So after the second day, I'm like, I'm gonna edit video. Yeah. And I'm just not. I don't engage with customers unless they engage with me first, or unless they engage with the work.
Big NPC energy.
Yeah. So if I see them go for like a cup, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's okay. You could touch it. If you have any questions, just ask me, and then I go right back to editing. Like No, but she's usually like, that's Donte. He's the one who made all the things and all that, you know? Other than that, my experience was pretty good, considering I think that other than teacups, I was pretty ill-prepared. To be honest with you.
Like, just in terms of how much inventory you brought?
No, I brought like 100 pieces. The problem is that they weren't spread out amongst people's interests. Oh. So, like, people were asking for teapots and matcha tea bowls and different styles of teacups, and people were asking for like large vases, and people were...
Wow, really?
A couple people were like, do you have any like large vases? And I was like, yeah, if you want some. Somebody bought one.
Wow. Wait, like one of your like...
The egg one.
Oh my god, somebody bought one of your off faces?
Yeah, no,
that's awesome.
Lindsey and I call them off pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be editing that out.
Yeah, well, it's just because, like, I want to say once a year I come across somebody at the table who's like, oh, so I did this in high school, and they have kind of like an arrogant tone to them a little bit. Once a year I get this person, and so what often happens is they go, so is that what you make? You make cups? Is that what you, like everyone else, you make cups?
Wow.
And then I have to go, oh no, I make a lot of the glazes myself too. Usually that shuts people up. Usually once you make your own glazes, they're like, oh, I can't do that, so I'm going to shut up now. But if they keep pushing, you have in the corner what Lindsey and I call a f*** off piece. Which is usually just a very large artistic piece that you bring for people who are going to give you a little sass, who think you're just making cups all day.
I mean, realistically...
Could you tell them to f*** off?
For myself, the reason I bring my higher pieces is to, well, because again, I feel lucky I've not had someone have that come at me with that attitude.
Once a year for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I might just attract them, actually. To be honest. It might be me. I might be the determining factor.
Well, I like bringing my sculptures to show the breadth of what I can do, and also because there's this whole thing in like marketing psychology. I have no receipts for this. This is just what I've heard, is that if you have like higher priced, really nice items, it elevates the perceived value of even your lower priced items.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's why I bring like my sculptural pieces and my like more elaborate mugs, even if they don't sell as often or I don't make as many of them.
That's fair.
So overall, so you said you felt a little unprepared.
I mean, I made more money than I thought I would, but I didn't make, like, I feel bad saying this, but when I went to the table, I wasn't like, I'm here to make money. I was like, hopefully I sell off these teacups so I can get them out of the studio, so I can put the leftover ones on my website or give them away to other people, and then I can work on my new stuff and have my new glazes.
Yeah.
Because I've already started on my next round of glaze development. I've already started.
Hell yeah.
Like, after the red, I'm doing something else now. So, but I need product to get out of the studio so I can make more product. So, on the sidelines, I can test said product and new glazes on that product, right? So, that was my main goal. The fact that I made almost 4K is like, I'm like, yeah, that was good. I was expecting to make like 2.
Oh.
To be honest with you. And then I also got 3 videos done while I was there.
Oh, nice. There you go.
A video a day. So, that was, it was a win for me, but I do admit I totally could have been more... I could have been more prepared as for what the customers want, because like I know what they want by this point, but I just you're getting teacups and you're gonna like it.
I hear that. So I ended up I have to double check my numbers. I think I brought like almost 300 cups.
I brought 1,
but that was
100 max.
I brought a lot back with me, and it also again like is helping me see like what's selling and stuff, because I don't. Okay, so I have 2 different thoughts, but I'm going to address this first one first. I don't keep strict track of what sells, partially because when I'm transacting with folks, I don't want to have to, like, because again, I have folks who help me, like, sell things, and it's easier for someone to hit, like, oh, mug, $50,
right.
teacup, 40,
right.
Stein, 60, as opposed to teacup, black, avatar symbol.
Yes.
Mug, whatever,
I got
so
you.
yeah,
Gotcha.
so I don't have that set up, so all of my inventory when I'm looking back at sales just says, I can see how many mugs and steins and stuff I sold. Except for cash. I don't keep as good track of like cash transactions just because it's faster not to.
If it's not taxable, it's not trackable.
Well,
don't worry about it.
No, I definitely report everything.
Everything?
I'm too afraid of getting audited.
Damn.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Not saying that Donte is confirming or denying anything here.
I will say Uncle Sam be touching my pants a little more than I like, though.
Oh my gosh. I mean, taxes pay for all of our roads and schools and anything. Anyway, point being, that's a whole other conversation.
I like taxes. I just like them to be used how I want them to be used a little bit more, you know what I mean?
And that's why we vote, guys.
That's why we vote.
Check your voter registration status at vote.gov or vote.org. Both of them will lead you to a place where you can check your voter registration. Vote like your everything depends on it, because it really does. Anyway, that's my little PSA. Going back to SacAnime. So since I don't keep super strict track of exactly what designs sell, I just kind of go by estimating. But I brought maybe about almost 100 pieces back with me. So I definitely had more than I needed of a lot of things, but I actually felt the best prepared going into this SacAnime, I think almost out of the last three SacAnimes. And I think part of that was also, like, so I think I did a better job of preparing inventory. I also... it was really nice not having to worry as much about the monetary stuff, because again, like, I'm seeking full-time employment elsewhere. Yeah. So previously there's a lot of like the last few SacAnimes I've been to, I've had a lot of anxiety going into them, because it's like, oh God, I hope things sell. Please let things go well. God, what if things don't go well? Because, you know, my entire as income depends on it, right?
Yes.
And so knowing that I have, you know, I mean, again, I'm still a ways out from like actually getting the job, so I don't want to put my cart before the horse here. But it was nice going into this convention with more of like okay, I feel good, let's have a good time, see how things go. Hopefully it goes well. And I think the combination of the more foot traffic, being more prepared, and just my emotional state, I think, was better too this convention.
Yeah.
Like
I'll fully admit I was not as prepared as I ought to have been. But also, I really wasn't concerned with, like...
Yeah, I mean, your energies were focused on other things.
The week before the table, I pulled out a piece of the kiln, and I was like, this is it! This is my ancient copper competitor!
Oh my god!
This is it! And then a week later, I was like, oh crap, I have SacAnime soon.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
Like, I'm on the phone with Clayscapes, like, they're like, hey... You know? And then I'm like, I'm not... It's not that I wasn't worried about SacAnime, I was like, I should probably be more prepared than I was, but also this for me is like a crucial achievement in what I would call my pottery career.
Yeah.
I have a question for you in that. So you have a bunch of designs.
Yeah.
You have more than I do for sure. When you think about how many of what design you bring, do you think like in terms of 10, 20 pieces? Do you expect to sell like 20 of the DM mugs? So you bring 20 of them? Or do you like 5? What's your quantity for every design?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I know, I made it myself.
Oh, well done. 10 points. So I think for the designs that I know sell well, like the caffeine reroll your morning, coffee stat mug, tea stat mug, dungeon master, like those are the ones that I know sell well. For those, I think I made like 10.
Of each one?
10 of each, yeah. I mean, again, I have to go back and double check my numbers, but...
Are those the average ones where you're like, they sell, but they don't sell ultra well?
No, I mean, they do sell really well. Like, of the ones that have sold out in the past, it tends to be those ones. And then, like, last convention in particular, I noticed that for my D&D class mugs, like, Cleric sold out, Paladin sold out, Warlock sold out, Bard sold out. So
Bard sold out?
Bard sold out.
That's crazy.
I know, shocking, right?
Very shocking,
Same with
actually.
yeah. So
you Bard players need to chill.
They're too fun. It's too fun.
You guys are trying to seduce people all the time. Every D&D campaign I've ever been in, who play every time he's like, I want to play a Bard. I'm like, damn it, Steve.
It depends on how you play it.
They always try to seduce a dragon, no matter what you do. Every single time.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. They're like, I'm gonna have to, because that's all you can do.
See, I want to
with your loot.
I want to see someone play a emo kid bard. That's what I need in my next D&D campaign. Oh my god, that'd be so fun.
They break down in Blink-182 songs all the time.
Yeah. Oh my god, and when they cast Shatter, it's because they like scream like. Oh my god, that's gonna be my next one. Okay, anyway, sorry.
When they get past level 10, they get depression.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Level 12, they have anxiety pills.
Oh jeez. Oh, I love it.
But it gives them like a power boost somehow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Oh god, they're so messed up. Don't romanticize mental health, guys. It's not great. Anyway.
Unless they're attractive
mental health issues, I should say.
Unless they're attractive male characters in books. Then it's totally fine.
Oh my god. Anyway, okay, so... To answer your question, though, better answer your question, more fully answer your question.
Yeah.
Wait, what was your question again?
Oh, I was asking.
Oh yeah, what numbers? Yeah. Okay,
I was asking numbers based on popularity, but like, what's your standard more so?
My standard is like
5 10?
No. Okay. I've got too many. I have like over 100 individual designs.
Damn, I have like 20, and I don't even like half of mine. Half of mine, I'm like, that's lame now. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I have a lot of different designs. What I ended up actually doing this convention is I basically made no goblets.
Okay.
Because, so, you know, again, and kind of looking at like where I had to make decisions and cut time down because all had limited time.
Yeah.
And I also, you know, as I was prepping inventory, my original planned numbers were before I made the decision to start looking for a full-time job with the state. So for like a month, instead of doing SacAnime prep, I was like, updating my resume, like doing like all the evaluation tests that I needed. So that cut into my prep time. So I noticed that the last convention, the goblets didn't sell as well. And then also when people were, or when I asked my like friends who were helping me about what responses they got from folks. They said that a lot of the times people would look at the goblets and kind of like raise their eyebrows at the price, which makes sense. I mean, the goblets are priced.
They're harder to make.
They're harder to make, so they're gonna be more expensive.
That's why none of us make goblets.
Yeah.
Well, not none of us, but like that's why you just don't see goblets. Like they're not like mugs for us. You know, mugs are clearly way more used. And anyway, goblets are difficult. Yeah.
So it makes sense that they're going to be priced higher. So I ended up basically not selling goblets because I was like, you know what? They don't sell as well. They're more expensive. I'm really going to focus primarily on mugs and then on steins. So I would say probably 75% to 80% of my inventory was just mugs.
Really?
Yeah. And then split, half and half the rest, steins and then teacups. Because I still like having that spread. I still like having the less expensive teacups for folks who don't want to drop higher amounts of money. Mm-hmm. But in terms of my overall, like I'd say 2 to 3 is my like standard for how many designs I make of each thing.
Okay.
Like I made 2 of the Vault Tech mugs. I made 2 of the Yowie mugs, which sold out immediately.
Of course
People loved them. There were no... the Yuri mugs, I think 1 sold.
Yeah.
And nobody paid attention to them. So Yowie is clearly the way to go.
Yeah. It's more like... Also within anime culture, if you say Yowie, people are like, oh yeah. But if you say Yuri, people are like, what? Not people, but... I know what Yowie is. You had to explain what Yuri was to me.
Yes.
Let's take that into account.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Yowie is basically
you don't need to know.
gay male like fiction, and Yuri is like lesbians basically.
It's boy love.
There's
versus
apparently not some apparently some issue with calling it boy love now. I can't remember what the deal is, but point being,
I'm getting old. I don't know. I'm getting too old.
That's okay. We're all getting old. Okay, so just to sort of partially recap, I make about 2 designs per design, mostly mugs. The ones that sell well, I think actually is about like maybe 10 of each like design. And yeah. So, okay, so for you said you have about like 20 designs and you don't like half of them.
Yeah, I don't even like half of them.
So oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Okay, all right, little side tangent as well. Another big thing that was different for this convention is I really spiffied up my display.
You did.
And I'm really happy about it.
I saw it. It was good.
Thank you.
It was really good.
I ended up... So on the first day, I had the table set back about halfway in the display space, and again, just describing for the listeners, the display space that you have is about like a 10 by 10. So I had my table about halfway back, and then I had 2 shelves facing inward. So you could walk down the aisle and then dip into my little display area. The main reason I did that is because I wanted to have more display stuff out for people to be able to touch, but I realized pretty quickly after that first day that inner area got congested really quickly. Yeah. And also it was really hard to see the booth from the side aisles at the end of each row. Because I'm literally in the middle. Like if you imagine the rows like an H, I'm in the very center of like the crossbar of the H.
Yes.
So if you're walking down those other 2 aisles, you couldn't see my booth like at all.
Correct. So, unless you actively looked. Unless you like made a... turn.
Unless you turned into the aisle,
on purpose, yeah. Yeah, it's not natural.
So in terms of balancing, okay, what is better in this situation? To have more cups out for people to physically hold, but then it makes a congested space and makes my booth harder to see, versus pushing my table forward so it's like right up on the same walking space, but it means that people have to ask to see different mugs because all the shelves are going to be behind me. Ultimately, that's what I ended up doing, and I'm really glad because I think it did help with the visibility. It helped reduce the friction between someone walking down the aisle and then touching a mug. Yeah. Like as opposed, so they didn't have to walk into the space. But I'm glad I experimented with it. I'm glad that it ended up kind of reinforcing, and it it meant that thank you, Donte, helped me very quickly completely rearrange my booth space on Saturday morning. Friday I had the one booth set up. Saturday morning
once a table I fix something.
Yep.
Once a table, and it's not even specifically with you. It's like once a table, there's something that goes down. that I'm like, I'm going to have to stay up a little bit later and fix like the Gara's red glaze.
Oh my God, yeah. God, that was so irritating.
I don't know what you did to
I don't know either. Yeah, I basically, long story short, listeners, I made a 7-gallon bucket of a glaze that I messed up on something somewhere, and I have no idea what, but it did not turn out to be Gara's red. So Donte saved my ass again and brought me a bucket of Gara's red to be able to glaze like about 50 or so pieces.
Well,
so.
here's the thing for me is that like I developed Gara's red myself, and it almost always comes out red, if not red with like hints of yellow, and I love that glaze a lot, right? So when Lindsey made it and it came out not at all right, I was like, oh no, is my recipe trash? Like, I always assume it's my fault first, and then I work on fixing it. So like when I talked to Clayscapes and I gave them the glaze recipes for like the new Ancient Copper, there's like a 10% part of my brain that's like, what if I just got really lucky a bunch of times in a row?
Oh,
and, what if the glaze is actually trash? So when you showed me the glaze you made, my brain was like, oh no, my worst fear has come true. I'm actually a trash glaze maker.
And no, I was the trash is me. I was the trash. I have made glazes successfully dozens of times, and yet on this one,
I think you put in too much talc, if I'm being honest. Like I looked at it and I was like, that looks like somebody put in too much talc. Because all the other ingredients wouldn't change the color that much.
Okay.
And make it like grayish like that. Like too much iron would just make it more yellow.
Yeah.
Too much. The other ingredients, there's no other colorants in it that have color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like talc is the only one that I'm like, talc is like the Am talc or the Talc 200 is a bit gray. So yeah. So when I saw it, I went home and I was like, okay, if this turns out good, I'm just gonna give it to Lindsey and then she can give me the rest back when she's done using it.
Yeah.
But if it like,
by the way.
But if it turns out gray, I'm trash and I messed up somewhere.
Oh God.
Thankfully, the recipe wasn't bad. I brought it to Lindsey and then she's glazed her stuff and
it was totally fine.
Good.
Totally
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. I'm really glad too. But
I'm glad the glaze
there
works.
were there were a few monetary investments for this convention. One of them was buying all the supplies to make that glaze, which I ended up messing up.
I'm sorry.
But I ended up actually spending about $400 on new shelving.
Yep.
And I also bought curtains for like a backdrop.
Mm-hmm. So
I think like I had kind of been meaning to do this for a while, but I'm glad that even though the glaze didn't work out, the new display of the added shelves and the backdrop I think looks good. So it definitely increases the setup time. Yeah. For sure.
It looks good though. It looks like your own little cove.
Yeah. I like the space. So anyway, so what do you want to do differently for this upcoming SacAnime? What do you want to do that's the same? What do you want to do that's different?
Well, so let me start off by saying what I did this time is I did the idea that you and I talked about beforehand, where like you push the table back and it's more of an H instead of like a straight N situation, where instead of my table being front faced, me and teacozy pushed the table back a little bit, and this made me really happy because anyone who came up to the table didn't congest the aisle like you were saying. So
the congestion that I found was when I did have it inset.
Really?
Because that little inset area became congested, and then people would walk by and not come to the booth because it was congested.
So what I found, and this might just be my positioning, is last year we were set in front of a pillar, and the pillar made like 2/3 of the walking space is obsolete. Like you can't walk through it, of course, right?
Yeah. So, you guys are also on one of the main thoroughfares, which I think helps too in terms of that foot traffic. But
and so the first time we were like, man, like a lot of people are stopping in front of our table to get tea because we give out tea samples, and people would start forming a line behind our table to get samples, and that would clog up the whole aisle. And then we had the pillar there, and so this time I was like, Linda, let's just push the table back a little bit so that we're not like. You know, when you're walking, I don't know, this doesn't happen too much in Sacramento, but you ever go to like San Francisco or New York and you're walking the streets and someone just stops in the middle of the walking way?
Oh, yeah.
But there's only like enough space for 2 or 3 people. And these dummies don't have spatial recognition. I hate them so much.
Yeah.
They'll just full on stop in front of I hate them. Anyway.
I mean,
it's one of my litmus test peeves.
I mean, I feel like at a convention, that's like part of the reason why you have the walkways as wide as you normally do.
Right.
Because normally, like, there's people stop in front of the booths, and then ideally you keep the center of that walkway with people walking, but yeah, a lot of the times people will stop
They
even
don't
in
do that.
even in the in the middle. Yeah, it's
Hear me out. The responsible thing when you're grocery shopping, because the grocery aisles only fit like 2 or 3 carts, is if you're in the middle of the aisle and you're looking down both ends, you pull off to the side, you park your cart, and then you go get your food, put it in the cart, and even if you're perusing, you put your cart to the side.
Okay.
Right? If you stop in the middle of the aisle, you have then held up everyone else.
Yeah.
One person can get around you. If there's any more than 2 people in the aisle, you idiots! You've essentially blocked the entire aisle with your one cart.
Okay. So bring it back to SacAnime.
That being said, if there's an intercove from your table, people don't ever clog up the aisle, regardless of whether they stop on the side or the middle. If they want to see your table, they just go into a cove, and they're taken away from the traffic situation altogether to a certain extent, right? Like what you were saying, yeah, less people come up to your table, but damn, I'm fixing the litmus problem over here.
Okay.
You don't have to agree, Lindsey.
Okay. I don't.
You do not have to agree.
Because I think, like, yes, it does help some of the traffic problem for the aisle, but it also could potentially mean fewer people coming. Because again, for me, like, it meant that fewer people came to my booth.
Yes.
Because I was harder to see, and that the congestion, instead of being in the aisle walkway, which had more room for people to walk around, the congestion was all in front of my own booth. So
here's the one thing that really helped me decide to push my table back a little bit, and we didn't push it back all the way, we pushed it halfway, to be clear, is that if we pushed our table back a little bit and we had 2 side tables, we now had 100% more space to put product up there.
Yeah.
So
it did also, actually, I noticed, I don't know if it's just because of the way the walkway was, like in the walkway where you guys are, but it didn't actually feel like your table was pushed back.
Yes.
Like where my thing was and the way I had it set up, it felt like, oh, here's a cove.
Yes.
Y'all's booth set up, I think because of where that pillar was.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just a regular part of the walkway. So I will say that. I think that you guys did have that benefit.
Well, that was part of the thing that we did. So when we first got there and we were talking about the position of the table, my 2 parts to Linda, because she was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's anything new. Let's just try it, right? Like, what's the harm of it? We pushed it back, and we had said if we push it back too much, people can't see us. So we need to be pushed back a little bit, just like maybe halfway, maybe not even a third of the way, maybe even, right? And then I was like, right, but if we do that, we now have more space for cups. So I had like 10 cups on this side, and she had like more tea on the right hand side, and she was selling stuff because people who were in the cove were immediately in front of that product if they turned a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
And we front-faced all of our stuff, so instead of it being facing in at like a 90-degree angle, we faced it this way, so it's looking at the customers.
Yes, and I think that also helps from creating a sense of congestion.
Yes.
Is that it's a little bit more of like because mine was set up like 90-degree. I had an H set up and it was not working.
We're trying to get a little bit of height on our tables, but like it's I think next time I'll probably buy a couple of like mug stands or something and put them on the side.
Oh, okay.
Because if I can have more product on the side, if I push my table back a little bit, why not use that for decoration space? Right? But the front table I have to like, I can't have a pillar in front of me because I have to reach over my piece.
Right. So
it can only be like 3 feet tall max. Before I'm reaching over a mug that's also probably like, I don't know, 12 inches tall.
Yeah.
If that. Probably not even. Like 8 inches tall. Okay. Right?
So for the next convention, you're gonna experiment with a bit more of like the display.
We'll probably keep the same table pushback because we have the same spot, right? But I'm probably gonna put more display space vertically on both the left and the right of me.
Okay.
Right? So more mugs over here, and I'm probably gonna bring mugs this time because let's be real, people are buying mugs. Let's be real. Most of you guys want mugs. The weird thing is people wanted lots of matcha bowls.
Oh,
people
interesting.
Really into like tea ceremony bowls, but I'm very picky about mine.
Yeah.
So when I make them, I destroy like a lot of them.
Oh, interesting.
I'll make 10 and throw away like 7 and be like,
wow.
Oh
my God.
Absolutely. I'm very, very, very picky about my tea bowls, especially like Japanese style ones. And if I don't make them exactly how I know they ought to be made, I will reclaim it or chuck it, just because I know there's such, especially culturally in Japan, there's such like a stringent way they ought to be made that like you just, I don't know. I have a thing with like respecting the culture to the point where
yeah.
like if you're going to appropriate it, then do it right. You know what I mean? Like do it right the first time. I can't just be like some kid who went to ceramics class and be like, these are tea bowls. Anyone who knows how it ought to be made is going to be like, you made one, yeah, I guess, but it sounds gatekeepy. But I also want to come from a place of I respect the culture too much to just copy stuff they've done and call it real. You know.
Okay. So some more teacups. Or sorry, more
mugs.
More mugs.
More mugs.
You also mentioned possibly having more designs as well. I think you mentioned. I can't remember if this is on air or off air.
I do need to make more designs. I've already started my Renaissance Fair designs, but I'm only gonna do like 3 or 4 Renaissance Fair designs. I'm not gonna do like I want to test them out, see if they're good, and make more as I go along.
Okay.
I do fully need to find like a new fandom to attach to though, to sell that is popular. Realistically, I don't really want to, but if I watch 10 animes and I like 2 of them, I'm just gonna start to make designs based off those things.
Yeah.
Right, and hopefully that will catch the eye of people who would want to talk about or buy things from that fandom. My
friends who helped me out at the table, their sort of suggestions were like, hey, look at who the guests are. Like, find out who the guests are going to be. And then, I mean, that's also part of the reason why I finally watched...
Bluey!
Yeah. I watched Has Been Hotel and...
yeah, Has Been Hotel.
Yeah, of course. Definitely that.
Bluey.
Not Bluey. I know you watch Bluey because you have a child. You have an offspring.
It's not even for kids. Anyway, it's a different path to go down.
Okay. Well, yeah. So part of the reason I ended up watching Has Been Hotel, and I didn't watch actually Hell of a Boss until after SacAnime, but I did get through Has Been Hotel because the creators were there.
Right.
So I was like, oh, hey, this could be a thing, and I made it was kind of funny. I actually made Has Been Hotel mugs before I watched the show because I was like, okay, I don't have time to watch the show and then make them because the deadline was coming up. So I just made a few just to try and have a few things out there. They were okay. The Alistair mug sold. A couple of the other ones that were Kiki, the actual key design didn't, because that's less of a recognizable character, I guess. So
it's got to be recognizable. It's as much as I want to just put like clever little words like "don't talk to me till I've had my coffee" kind of words on mugs.
Oh yeah.
Because we're going to an anime convention, it ought to be somewhere in the field of, not to say you can't sell stuff like that, but I try to make it more applicable to the anime culture in general, or at least cartoon culture in general. So it's like if I want to make a Pokemon mug, I'm gonna put Pikachu on the mug. I'm not just gonna get a mug that says Pikachu on it in black letters like that. I don't know. I feel like one would definitely sell better than the other.
Yeah, I mean it is tricky. Because, like,
it's very easy.
That's something that I have a really hard time with, is, like, especially with coming up with new designs, especially for, like, anime, because, like, you know, if I'm making, you know, I don't know, Game of Thrones mugs or something like that, like, the aesthetic already fits in with the style of work that I do, but trying to make a mug that is in my aesthetic but representing Has Been Hotel is really different, because that art style is totally on the opposite end of the spectrum of what I normally make. Yeah. So what I ended up doing for this one, or for Has Been Hotel, and then I also made a couple designs for Asterion, Karlak, and Lae'zel, where I basically did like a sketched sgraffito design on the front, and then basically did like the outline of their hair, and then like a phrase they normally say. So I did like "Hey soldier" for Karlak, and then "Hello darling," and then "Stva" for Lae'zel.
I catch myself looking at Lae'zel like, maybe.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to romance her next time, but
then you gotta, but then what? Then I'm a scaly. Right? Like if you embrace it, Donte. Listen, I like furries a lot. Okay. I'm not one.
Okay. Yes.
But sometimes I have to do like a systems check. Like, am I sure I'm not a furry?
Systems check.
You know what I mean?
Oh my god, I love it.
You know, you have to be like, man, I really like this thing, but I'm not part of the culture at all. Should I? No. No. You know what I mean? No. I'm good.
Interesting. Okay, I could say some things.
Don't interesting me.
I'm interesting you so much right now.
I have so many people who are furries on the Discord. By the way, quick side note: if you're part of my Discord, I'm usually not there. I get some people who get on the Discord expect to talk to me specifically. Oh. It is a community for y'all. Okay. For potters who need help and stuff like that, and glaze recipes, and there's plenty of knowledgeable people on there. I'm very rarely there, and when I am, I pop in the lounge and go, "What's up, nerds?" and then I ignore it for another month.
Yeah.
It is not a place where I live. I just want to. I got a message earlier this week that like you're not even here, and I'm like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
But the furries are there for sure.
That's fun. Well, sorry, I feel like I'm so like disjointed right now. But I have thoughts coming back to the design stuff.
I just need to make more designs. That's about it.
What's that?
I just need to make more designs personally. I don't know about you.
I feel pretty good with the designs. I think I'm gonna try and do like maybe 2 new designs because so the issue that I ran into is when I did like the Sgraffito mugs, like I'm not gonna do that again. Like it does not work as a repeatable design. But I just wanted to have new stuff to show, so I just did it.
Yeah.
But I would like to formalize those designs by making them into a rubber stamp, and then so I can repeat them. But like in terms of like what you were saying with like picking a fandom, that is the eternal struggle, is like how do you pick a fandom and then also integrate it into your own art style.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, like I think you said something like 10 to 20% of people are doing like original art, right? But the other 80% of that is usually just fandoms with the artist's spin on it, realistically.
Yeah.
And I think that's I wouldn't even say unfortunately, essentially what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get a fandom, right, that I'm just going to choose one that I am integrated into, that I like, because I would feel weird just picking a random one.
Sure, yeah.
Popular.
Say 14!
So, oh my god, yeah. But that's the thing, nobody would.
I mean, but the few who would.
The few who would, yeah. Oh my god. My boss, side part for Destiny, right, which is dying, by the way. Destiny. Side part is, I jokingly put on my profile, because my boss is redoing my profile for like the newsletter that comes out every month, and she was like, "What's it?"
Wait, do you mean for my job, Sun City?
Yes.
Gotcha.
They have like a monthly magazine that comes out essentially.
That's cool.
For all of them, and she was like, "One interesting fact about you," and I put all my facts there, and I couldn't figure out like one interesting fact about myself, so I just put like, "Was at the Battle of Six Fronts," and I just left it there.
Oh my god!
And then she was like, "So what's the Battle of Six Fronts?" And some of the other people saw it. Wasn't in the magazine, but some of the other people heard about it. And so some of the people who live there were like, "Were you in a fight? Were you in the war?"
Oh my god!
But the Battle of Six Fronts is like a very, very old veteran Destiny thing.
Oh.
If
I love that.
If you said you were the Battle of Six Fronts, someone knows that you're a Titan, and you probably have been playing Destiny for a very long time.
Oh.
So I was like, we should probably take that out. Just take it out.
Yeah, because
they're gonna assume that
you're in like the military.
They're gonna assume that I'm in the military,
yeah,
and I'm not. And then I'm gonna have to explain to them what Destiny is, and like no shame on them or anything, but a lot of them are old enough to just be like, "So you just play video games is what you do.
Oh,
you just play video games. It's a video game." And I'm gonna be like, "Well, yeah." And then some of them are like, "Video games bad," and then I'm snappy, so then I gotta be like, "Okay, pickleball." You know what I mean? Like, games that waste time bad, and then I have to be like, "All right, pickleball, chill out over there."
That's funny.
Mine's just electronic. Anyway,
I love it.
I thought it was funny. But you're right. Destiny would be a great thing to make, but I can't. Nobody would buy them.
Yeah, that is the thing. That is the trouble. I have a few designs like that where it's like I think I forget that some things are more niche than they actually are. Like when I used to make mugs that had the nightingale symbol on it from Skyrim.
Right.
Like nobody knew what it was. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So there's like, cuz like of course the nerd in me, like I could make an entire ass series of mugs that were all individual specific things just from Skyrim.
Yes.
I
absolutely.
could, I could be like, I met the lusty Argonian maid.
Right.
Like that could be on a mug, So, but, okay, so this leads to the last observation. And this is sort of was brought to my attention by the folks who were helping me out at the table. They were saying that people seem to really enjoy and notice and then often buy the kind of one-off not random, but like the one-off kind of like, I put my heart and soul into these pieces.
Yes.
Like the Musher mug's always popular. Necromancer mug's always popular. But also like the Lae'zel one, the Karlach one. And of course they're popular characters, but there were a few other designs that it was this interesting mix where it was niche, but also somewhat popular, but also clearly kind of different than some of the other mugs that I made.
You gotta have those.
Yeah. And
to some extent.
And I'm kind of thinking, like, again, like, between now and, like, next SacAnime, the things that I want to do the same is, you know, I like my booth setup. I want to get a slightly better backdrop system because I had to MacGyver some things. So I want to get that. I want to prep inventory the same way, like use the new inventory Excel sheet that I made. Mm-hmm. But I think I also want to make a little more room for like the one-off pieces. Yeah. Like pieces that I maybe don't even make into a rubber stamp. Mm-hmm. But pieces where I'm just like, I really want to do this one thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to make a I Heart the Lusty Argonian Maid. Yeah. You know? Because it's a fun little niche. It like shows that I have more designs. It gives people more to look at. And it's also really fun. Like, I think it feeds my creativity in a way that I think I've been not really able to because I've been so concerned with the financial aspect of it because it's like mostly what I'm, yeah. So, so I don't know. I think that's what I want to do differently is the main thing is like have fun with more designs, and it's limited time because, you know, again, just a few months in between then I'll be doing a Halloween update and a holiday update. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's my thought. That's what I want to do.
I think for me personally, I just need a couple more designs that need to be fitted to larger mugs, essentially. Mm-hmm. Because then I can kind of justify... Like, if I make larger mugs, I could justify raising the price. But I don't want them to be so large that, like, they become steins, pretty much.
Yeah,
I just want them... But also, I don't want them to be so small that people would not think it's enough liquid for them in one sitting, right?
Yeah. I feel like the minimum is like 10 ounces.
Especially for Americans.
Yeah, no, Americans, it's like known we like big cups.
Yeah, big cups and big handles.
Yeah.
I should just put that on a mug. I like big handles and I cannot lie or something like that.
Love it.
There's a couple sayings that I've put. I think a lot of the Renaissance Fair stuff that I'll be doing aren't really going to be designs. They're probably going to be much more, they're going to be wordy. Right? Yeah. Like I wanted to make a mug that says like try again with a different tone and just leave it there.
I love that. I think people would really enjoy that.
That's more my style. Is just like, okay, try. So that way, you know, suddenly you're at work, you drink from your cup and like, oh, okay. So I don't know. Something cheeky like that.
I mean, I like that. That feels very on brand for you.
I want it to be cheeky. I just don't want it to be cheesy. And those two are cousins.
They are. They're cousins, and they might be.
I don't want them to be in bed together.
We don't need a Game of Thrones situations with these siblings.
Oh my god, I've never hated a character more than that little blonde kid in my life.
Oh yeah, no. Joffrey.
I've never hated Joffrey. No.
I've never been so satisfied at a death.
I know.
So great.
The
show's really old. If these are spoilers, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I don't feel sorry. You've had your chance. Yeah. Like you've had it. Yeah, you've definitely. People who are like, don't spoil Star Trek for me. It's been out. Yeah. You've had your chance. Yeah. Supposed to wait at the altar for you? I'm getting married now.
Yeah,
You had your chance. I tried hitting on you. You didn't like it. That's fine. I walked away. Don't have buyer's remorse now.
This is getting toxic. This is getting toxic. We're done. We're done.
My bad.
No, that's okay.
You could have bought me.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Mud Peddlers. We would love to hear from you, so if you want to share your thoughts about the episodes or just see what Donte and I are working on in our studios, come say hi. You can find links to my social media at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com.
And you can visit my pottery shop or see what I'm working on at earthnationceramics.com. And you can find me all over social media at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled.
And if you want to support the show, hear some bonus episodes, and see some behind the scenes of my work, you can support me and the show at patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.